partisan gerrymandering isn't new. The name combines Elbridge Gerry, a founding-era Massachusetts governor, with his salamander-shaped districting map, giving Democratic Republicans more seats. Gerrymanders compress the opposition into few districts and spread closer majorities of those in power across many more. Computer technologies today achieve this with stunning scientific precision. Although estimates vary, in 2024, the Pew Research Center claimed that only 40 out of 435 House districts were competitive. Now, primaries and caucuses are competitive, yet that makes matters worse, turning red states redder and blue states bluer. Texas and Illinois show that both parties play the game, although for particular historical reasons, Republicans tend to play it better. And today's gerrymandering war between Texas and California dominates our headlines. In gerrymandered elections, we don't choose our representatives. They choose us.
The fascist takeover of American politics and society is rooted in the nation's founding, particularly the Electoral College and gerrymandering. With the daily horror of ICE raids, deportations of long-time law-abiding residents, destruction of the rule of law, stripping of personal rights and human decency, it seems strange to bring up what, in large part, threw us all into this calamity. But it's a uniquely American calamity, all our own making, and we shouldn't overlook how a controversial cog in the machinery of our democracy is helping to manufacture its downfall. Thanks to the Electoral College, votes mean more in some states than in other states, instead of every American's vote being equal. Campaigns focus on the states they need to win and leave the others out of the mix. The will of the majority of Americans is threatened in every election and thwarted in some. Donald Trump lost the popular vote in 2016, but he just barely won the Electoral College against Hillary Clinton. If the national vote of the people had decided the 2016 election, Trump would have lost, and it's difficult to imagine that his party would have given him another shot. That means no deadly insurrection, no violent coup would have erupted in an effort to keep a future tyrant in power in 2021. There would have been no power for him to hang on to, and the tyrant would have never had materialized and grown into the horrific monster who stands on the precipice of destroying the world's greatest experiment in democracy. Trump's 2016 election victory marked a fifth time a loser of the people's vote won the election, and in all 5 instances, it was a Republican who was ushered into office contrary to the will of the people. It also marked the second time in 4 elections that the Republican was installed solely by Electoral College votes, the previous being George W. Bush in the year 2000. Those 2 presidents, both initially handed office by the Electoral College, with 5 appointments to the High Court between them, have built the majority of the U.S. Supreme Court that has devastated this nation with its gutting of the rule of law, its empowerment of a tyrant to do whatever he wants with impunity as long as he deems it an official act, its ending of women's rights to make decisions about their own bodies and keep their pregnancies between themselves, their families, and their doctors, and now, perhaps most damaging and horrifying, its sidestepping of birthright citizenship by ending national injunctive relief. If there is a midterm election in November 2026, one that signals a dramatic shift in the party makeup of Congress, there would be a chance of throwing out the Electoral College in favor of direct popular vote to elect the president and vice president. But a Congress so inclined, to the tune of 2/3 of both houses, could only send the proposed constitutional amendment to the states for ratification, requiring 3/4 of state legislatures to approve it. Unless there's a corresponding shift in the makeup of a large number of state legislatures, red states would easily block ratification. Never intended by its creators to help losing candidates win elections, the Electoral College has nonetheless become an enabler of monsters and a destroyer of American democracy. And the damage done may be as insurmountable as it is incalculable. Gerrymandering is as deleterious to American democracy as is the Electoral College. After the Census Bureau released detailed population and demographic data from the 2020 census, states and local governments began the once-in-a-decade process of drawing new voting district boundaries known as redistricting. In gerrymandering, when those boundaries are drawn with the intention of influencing who gets elected, followed. The latest redistricting cycle was the first since the Supreme Court's 2019 ruling that gerrymandering for party advantage cannot be challenged in federal court. Every 10 years, states redraw their state legislative and congressional district lines following the census. Because communities change, redistricting is critical to our democracy. Maps must be redrawn to ensure that districts are equally populated, comply with laws such as the Voting Rights Act, and are otherwise representative of a state's population. But sometimes the process is used to draw maps that put a thumb on the scale to manufacture election outcomes that are detached from the preference of voters. Rather than voters choosing their representatives, gerrymandering empowers politicians to choose their voters. This tends to occur especially when line drawing is left to state legislatures and one political party controls the process, as has become increasingly common. When that happens, partisan concerns almost invariably take precedence over all else. That produces maps where electoral results are virtually guaranteed, even in years where the party drawing maps have a bad year. Gerrymandering has a real impact on the balance of power in Congress and in many state legislatures. And regardless of which party is responsible for gerrymandering in any given state, it's ultimately the American people who lose out. Rigged maps make elections less competitive, in turn making even more Americans feel like their votes just don't matter. There are 7 primary ways in which gerrymandering inflicts damage on American democracy. 1. Districts become safe for the favored party, so those in power tend to stay in power, regardless of their policies or lack thereof. 2. The party in control gets more seats than it earned, undermining the very basis of representative democracy and impeding the alternation of power that is essential for true democracy. 3. Representatives of the party are also protected, so far fewer races are competitive. 4. The primaries become the real race, leading to effective exclusion of many voters and more extreme candidates over time, because primary voters are more ideological. 5. The lack of moderate winners reduces the moderate middle and makes cooperation between parties more difficult, leading to hyper-partisanship. 6. Politicians are not answerable to voters, leading to increased potential for abuse of power by both members and leadership. 7. More voters lose interest in elections since few races are competitive and the same party always wins. Americans must dismantle the Electoral College and gerrymandering if the will of the people is to be anything but a hollow phrase.